Hello everyone, this is Kevin, your entrepreneur, and we're talking about Uber today. And I'm only going to make one video today, even though I had 3 planned, because I don't want this one to get buried. Not because I think it's super important. In fact, if anything, I actually kind of suspect this won't be important until a little later on. But, like, several people emailed me this story. You know that you're getting semi-big when people are sending you the stories instead of you seeking them out. So they really want to know what I think about this, and I'm going to oblige, even though I at first thought I didn't have anything to say about it. So there was a story that has broke that 3 years ago, roughly 3 years ago, Apple's CEO Tim Cook had a little chat with Travis Kalanick. Kalanick walked into the Apple headquarters. I don't know exactly where it was, but I'm assuming it was either in a conference room or in Cook's office. And it was a very simple conversation. Cook basically said, so we hear that your app is violating our terms of service. You need to stop that, or we will take you off the store. Now, the terms of service that were being violated is actually nothing new. In fact, news broke everywhere about this, in the sense that people had found out that Uber was tracking your data even after you turned the app off. Now, that's the story that was going on. Here was the real scary thing. Uber was actually tracking your data when the app was also uninstalled from your phone. And that is a problem. That breaches some serious privacy concerns that I'm sure Apple, unlike Uber, does not want to get into, because Apple does not want to have that kind of scrutiny on their company. Uber might be okay with it, but Apple's not. So Tim Cook basically sat Travis Kalanick down and said, stop it. Stop it. You can't do that. You can't do that. I don't know what Tim Cook sounds like. I honestly stopped watching the Apple keynotes ever since Steve Jobs died. Now, here's what's interesting. There's a few interesting things about this story. First of all, that it's breaking now, of course, and it's breaking at a time when Uber really can't afford to be having any more stuff like this come out. Heck, we're still waiting to see what Lyft does now that they found out Uber was circumventing their system, and that's not legal. But another thing that was interesting is that Uber was doing this years ago. This shows that Uber as a company has not changed. They were caught doing this very thing 3 years ago. 3 years later, they're doing it again. They're doing it with Lyft. They are not a company who will follow the rules. They will do what they want to do until they get caught. And obviously, giving them a stern talking to isn't going to work anymore. Will they stop? Probably. I mean, once they get caught, they know that they either stop or they get sued. But few people are bothering to sue them. Few people are bothering to take the steps to damage the company in a way that the company needs to be damaged at this point, so that they will stop doing things like these. This could have actually been a very, very pivotal moment. Can you imagine for a moment if Apple didn't even give Kalanick the option? Because I have seen apps get kicked off the Apple platform for much, much less offenses. In fact, cartoonist Scott Kurtz, who writes the comic strip PvP, was having a hard time getting his app on the store because he created an app called Troll Farts, or Farting Troll, or something like that. I actually did download the app. It was okay. It was an Angry Birds ripoff. But Apple wouldn't let it on the store because it violated their obscenity rule or something like that, and they were having a very, very hard time getting in contact. Eventually the app got on, but it took a lot of heeing and hawing. But that's nothing. That's just a word. A word kept the app off the store. Now then, Uber actually outright violates real privacy clauses in the terms of agreement. They actually continue spying on iPhone users after the app has been uninstalled. This is well above what you're allowed to get away with. But does the app get pulled? No, the app does not get pulled. Kalanick, the CEO, is invited to have a talk with Tim Cook. And Cook is admittingly not polite. He's not cordial. He doesn't need to be. He's got no obligation to treat him with kid gloves. And pretty much just says, hey, you're doing something wrong. Stop it. And he has every right to do it. But this is where the third situation comes in. Why didn't Apple just take it off the platform? They had every right to do that. And doing so would have definitely forced Uber's hand. It would have forced them to seriously... Well, first of all, they would scramble to fix the app to get it back on the Apple Store, because you don't want to cut out your iPhone users. You just don't want to do that. And then that would be a hard lesson for them to learn. And they would make sure that they... Sorry, camera's probably going to shake. Never do that again. At least you'd hope they would learn not to do it again, because I think losing out on like the biggest phone market would teach them a lesson that, hey, you don't want to do stuff like this. So the story keeps getting more and more interesting the more I think about it, because there was a time when Uber was almost critically hit financially that could have shaped their culture, where they realized they can only get away with so much. But instead, they got the same slap on the wrist that they got with San Francisco, that they got with Philadelphia, pretty much any place that they broke the law. The only place where they didn't get away with anything was Dallas, Texas. And at this point, they've been getting away with so much stuff. Yeah, of course, they felt like they could leave Dallas and be fine. And what happened? Other rideshare companies sprung up. And now Uber and Lyft, admittingly, aren't there, and they're losing a big market. Not good. Not good. So there was an opportunity there for Uber to be taught a lesson. But the other flip side is this shows how powerful Uber still is. The fact that Tim Cook or whoever works at Apple, maybe even the system itself, didn't automatically kick Uber off the App Store, and that Kalanick was brought into the room and given a lecture nonetheless, but basically a chance to reverse the decision. That shows how powerful Uber is, because they probably would have had hell to pay if a lot of iPhone users logged onto their phones and they couldn't call an Uber. They would have had to answer for that. Now, I think they would have had a perfect response. Hey, Uber was spying on you. We were protecting you. But you know what? Some people don't care. In fact, some people in one of my videos where I broke the fact that, or not broke the news story, other people broke the story, but that I discussed in very passionate detail that, you know, Uber was spying on me through the Lyft app, and what else were they spying on me, and how upset I was. I cannot tell you how many people, including Uber, said, hey, you gave them permission to do that. No, I didn't. I gave them permission to collect certain information. Personal stuff is not one of them. But I think it spoke not to people criticizing me for not understanding the rules. I understand the rules. I think it spoke volumes that people just accepted that this is how things were. It speaks volumes that Apple, despite one of their biggest policies being violated, just kind of accepted it. They didn't want to inconvenience people. They didn't want to get the emails. So they gave Uber a chance to fix it. And Uber did fix it. I don't believe for a second that that's what happened. I actually think they're probably still spying on people. They just found a way so that Apple hasn't caught them a second time yet. And if Apple had done what they were supposed to do the first time, maybe we'd be seeing a different Uber. Maybe this spying on Lyft thing would have never happened, because there was a precedent that, hey, you get caught, there's some serious consequences. And then it also got me thinking a little bit more, why is Uber still on Android? Because Uber and Google are in like a very big sissy fit. They're going to court, and Google will not settle with them. Google does not care about money. They've got way more than enough. They want their cars back. They want the patents back, and they want Uber to suffer because they broke the law. And you know what? This is how it should be. You break the law, you should be sued for it, and you should be crucified for it. And it's gotten to the point where, because Google sued Uber, many people woke up one day to find, hey, you can use 3 options. You can use the Google map, Waze, or Google Maps. Now, I already had it set up for Waze, and I kept Waze because I like Waze. A lot of people selected the Uber map because they were curious, though. But that's a bad choice to make, because once you choose that map, it's very hard to get it unset up again. If only because I was on someone else's Android phone trying to help them set Waze back up because they were not happy with the Uber map. And wow, we had to like email Uber to get that changed back. The only reason this cannot be considered a monopoly is that they give you the choice to pick which map you want to use up front. The problem is, once you choose the Uber map, it's very hard to get the Google Maps set back up again. And they did that because Google's suing them. And you know what? I'm not saying I blame them for that per se. Kind of makes sense. I don't know if I'd want to use the products of a person that's suing me either. But here's the thing. I wonder what is going on, because like that relationship is very fragile right now. Maybe Google decides they don't like this. Maybe the fact that Google stole their patents is reason enough, but one day Google might, sit up and say, you know what? I don't think Uber's gotten the message. We're suing them and they're still trying to circumvent us. So you know what? Take them off the store. Take them off the Android store. Don't let them on. That would do some serious damage to Uber. Uber would be, actually at that point, Uber would probably almost go into a plea deal. They would actually probably plea, yes, we're sorry, we stole the cars. We will admit this if we can get back on the Android store. If Apple had suspended Uber the way that they should have the first time, Uber would have learned a hard lesson. And then had they also lost Android, guess what? Uber would be no more. All Uber has as a company is their app. They don't own the cars. They don't employ the drivers. They have a building and an app. They don't have a lot of assets to show for all this money that they have. If they're taking off one of the stores, their business is done. It's totally done. And one of the reasons the story blew up is because not only were people surprised that Apple didn't really do anything about it, but people realized, what if Apple had done something? Would we even have an Uber at this point? And guess what? There's a number 2 competitor there in Lyft. And Sidecar was still around at the time, I believe. I think they were, yeah. And this could have killed them. And I think we're at the point where a lot of people are kind of like wishing that it had killed them, because Uber has done so much damage to this industry in the last 3 years. I mean, I know that they're banking on the driverless cars to get rid of the employees, but you know what? They have created a system where they have no assets. They have the most unsatisfied employees in the world who they can't retain 4% of them, not even 5%, 4% stay after a year, only 4. And they're always having to shell out money to get new people to come, when having slightly higher rates would retain those people and you wouldn't have to pay that bonus money to get them to come. They don't have loyal employees. And they have a app that, should they tick off the wrong company, the company will take it off their store and they lose half of their business. Like in a day. Like, boy, that would be interesting. Like, I would love for Uber to feel that, like, hey, you want to know what it feels like to have our rates cut? Yeah. Oh yeah, and by the way, these low rates, they can't stay this low forever. In fact, I suspect within a year, they have to go up. They have to go up within a year. And now, I don't know if we're going to get paid more when they go up, because Uber's kind of already suggested that they're willing to raise the prices without paying us more. Although if they do that, then they would have even more driver dissatisfaction. I don't know if they could survive that, because they're barely surviving as it is. But yeah, and the prices are going to go up. And you know what? People are now so used to going anywhere they want for $2.80 pretty much, that I don't know if would they come back to such a substantial price hike. Okay, I think they would. But the bottom line is, it's another question that looms. Maybe they won't. maybe they'll switch to the competition, because the competition might, for at least a month, keep their rates the same just to stick it to Uber. I mean, if Uber raised their prices, I have no doubt Lyft would as well, but Lyft might wait 3 weeks before they do it just to get more Lyft loyalty. It's, the story is scary or interesting, depending on your point of view, because Uber pissed off one of the biggest companies in the world. A company that could have snapped their fingers, taken their app off the store, and the company would have been no more. And you know what? They're currently doing that with Google, because Google's suing them. And Google, to spite them further, might just do that on the Android store. And letters be damned. And Uber had... This was a mercy Tim Cook did Kalanick. Cook did not want to give up the Uber app. That much is very, very clear. So he gave Kalanick a chance to heed his words and to stop what he was doing. This meeting, what little was said, was not just about fixing the problem in the Apple Store. There was a bigger picture that he was trying to make Kalanick see. You can't do this. You cannot do it. You're going to be in serious trouble if you try to do it again. It wasn't specifically stated, but it was hinted very strongly at. Kalanick didn't heed the warning. And the company... And now the company's at a state where I don't even know if it's going to be around in a year. I don't. I am really not sure if Uber's going to be around. I'm going to give them maybe 3 years because they have that Google lawsuit. But Google will win that lawsuit. And when they do, I think pretty much all of Uber's cash reserves, if they haven't gone through them yet, will go to Google. As will the cars. What will Uber have then? They will have an app that works just as well as the Lyft app and a bunch of drivers who are not loyal to them in the slightest. They might even be less loyal to them by the time this comes around. Tim Cook and Travis Kalanick walk into the room. One offered sage advice that the apprentice did not heed. Well, there you have it. And if anyone's curious, no, I don't own any Apple products. I don't own the MacBook Air. I don't own the iPhone. The only Apple product that I still have is this. 160 gig iPod Classic. So, obviously I have no loyalty to Apple. But, no, I'm going to change my mind on that. I have less respect for Apple that they didn't do what they should have done the first time through. Not only because I would have been unaffected by this at the time, but for a company that claims they want to create better opportunities for employees, this would have been like the ultimate collar shock for Uber. Take the app off, give them a few weeks to fix the problem. Uber would have lost millions, if not billions of dollars as a result. They can put it back on, and Uber would have been taught a very hard lesson. You don't spy on people. So, there you go, folks. What do you think? Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.